company. Oh!
Hello Gooners and welcome to the Goonie Family Podcast. My name's Rich.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Stu.
And we're broadcasting this live, so if you're listening, feel free to tweet us at any point. And obviously it's coming straight on the back of the tonight's game against Olympiacos.
The cracker of the game.
Or as Adrian Charles thinks, it's Panathinaikos, but we'll leave that prick out of it. But first of all, Gooners, we're going to start off with the quite poor performance against Swansea on Saturday. So, take it away, boys. Get it off your chest. What are your thoughts on Saturday?
I feel like a bit like a parrot, because whenever we do these, I end up saying the same thing over and over again. We start slowly, we start poorly, we pass the ball back rather than passing it forward, and we pretty much carried on in that vein for the rest of the game. And there used to be a time when when we lost a game, and we didn't used to lose many in the league. When we lost a game, you could honestly say there were many things within that game where you say, if that had gone for us, if we'd got a foul there, or if he hadn't given them a penalty, if we hadn't got mugged off there, we wouldn't have lost it. But unfortunately, it's kind of coming more of an occurrence that when we lose games, we're on it's the right result, and unfortunately, this was one of those games.
I walked away from the game on Saturday feeling that basically Swansea played us, fed us, and then just killed us.
And then shat us.
Basically, I think they basically knew exactly how to play us on Saturday. And I've never seen that for an Arsenal team for a long time, that an opposition team has basically stuck to their game plan. And you can see it was a game plan, can't you? They opened up with 20 minutes to go, Swansea. And basically, we walked away. No one could say they didn't deserve to win the game. It wasn't as if they sneaked it at the end. I mean, Chesney kept us in the game.
Yeah. From my perspective, I remember saying to you boys at half time that it was the worst performance I think I'd seen, worst first half performance by the Arsenal I'd seen.
And there's been some pretty bad ones as well.
And I honestly thought we looked like a side that we'd gone out onto the street and just said to 11 men, look, you go at left back, you go at right back, are you all right in the middle, where do you want to play, mate, and all that. It just looked like 11 players.
Yeah, they looked like a team. Swansea looked like a team, and we looked like a rabble. And the other thing, I think I said it to you, Rich, a few times in the second half, they looked like they had an extra man on the pitch.
From kick-off.
Yeah. Just where mainly yet again, it visibly looks that the other team is working harder than us as a team. Yeah. All over the pitch, they're working harder than us, and that is an extra man, isn't it? If the other team are working so hard, and it's sad to see. It's sad to see. So what's the point of having talented players if they're not going to work hard?
I got so fed up with seeing our midfielders carry the ball forward 5 metres, at the turn on their heels and pass it back to our full-backs and our centre-backs.
I think there was a number of reasons for that. I think it all adds up together, but I think some of the defenders and the midfielders are a bit scared of passing the ball forward, because if we lose it, you generally get groaned at from the crowd. And probably from Wenger, to be honest, as well.
I don't think our forwards were showing enough.
And that was the second thing, is that a lot of the players who didn't have the ball weren't showing properly, i.e. they were just literally standing there. And I think that was one of the main differences between the two teams, in that Swansea were passing and moving well. I don't know what we were trying to do, because a lot of the players were just standing still, and there's nothing more frustrating when you see someone, a lot of the time players get the stick for losing the ball, right? Especially if they haven't passed it.
Yeah.
But then when you look around and you can see that everyone is standing still, no one's given an option to try and give them an easy ball.
Yeah, but teams are quite happy for us now to have possession of the ball in our own half because they know that the quality is not there anymore.
Yeah.
The movement going forward isn't there. But the passing and moving from the back through the middle to the forwards is not as how it used to be.
And as well, I think that's the other thing. Is it's all. I mean, I was saying that the players are scared to pass it forward, but maybe when you haven't actually got someone who can pass the ball forward as well as what we have done in the past. Players, obviously players like Cesc you think of straight away. Even Nasri to an extent. Even Song. But
if you look at when we had them players, our triangle passing was phenomenal.
I was going to mention we got no.
We don't. There's no triangles no more. And what happens is the centre midfielders like Cazorla, Jack will peel out onto the wing. And then there's a gaping hole. They'll lose the ball, and then there's a massive hole in the middle of the midfield, and that counter attacks for the team. I mean, it's something about playing at home that is really becoming a barrier for us now, and I don't know whether it's to do with the expectation of the manager of the players, or whether it's the expectation of the fans for the players, or what. I mean, we'll all be quite naive to think that you're never going to go and pay to watch Arsenal and you're never going to see them lose a game. We all know that. We've all been in football for years to know that's not the case. Yeah. But there's something about playing at home at the minute that is a bit
monkey
worrying.
On our back, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit worrying. And, I mean, our first season was a struggle. I remember that at the new stadium.
But to be fair, though, we dominated games, though.
Yeah.
We dominated games and... we just couldn't get the breakthrough. But
so I was just angry at the fact that right at the end when Jenkinson was on the touchline and he was sprinting with the ball back to our own corner flag, he had no one inside of him to lay it off to. The touchline down the right was closed off, and he got caught out because no one was actually showing. And it's not as if we were pouring forward; so no one was actually. Even midfielders to defenders, they weren't offering themselves during the game. And someone mentioned afterwards, I can't remember which one of us it was, that Cazorla, it might have been Marlon, Cazorla's all well and good striking from distance, but he's not actually laying anything up for.
Well, no, that's me. That's been my criticism of Cazorla for
he's not actually laying it through
the last couple of months. In that he's scoring more than he's setting up, and he hasn't actually scored that many either. So, we'll come on to him a bit later, but I think that might change soon.
We're becoming easy for teams to play against because, like for instance, like with Man United did, and I think Everton did it. People just forward player just peeling off onto Arteta, stopping him getting the ball, and then we've got no balance. We going forward. But there's no one thinking to themselves, well, Arteta's being marked here. What do we do?
Don't you want to see an end to this 4-3-3? I do.
Well, I was talking to Mike earlier about that. If you go 4-4-2, you know what will happen. You got Teta, you got Cazorla, you got Jack Wilshere. He won't want to drop any of them. He'll end up playing Jack Wilshere on the left. That is what will happen.
Yeah.
Blatantly, what will happen. We've been there before. I mean, he plays Ramsey on the right, and Ramsey is no right winger.
Yeah, Ramsey gets all the stick for that, though, doesn't he?
Exactly, and he's again, it's square pegs in round holes, isn't it? I think, if you go 4-4-2, and you play Walcott up top with Giroud, for instance, or Podolski up top with Giroud, he will put Wilshere on the
left. Yeah,
blatantly.
I just think that formation would give us a lot more stability now than what we've got at the moment. I think that we should maybe go back to that to give us some stability.
When you're in a bad run, the first thing you need to get to sort out is not getting beaten, is not conceding goals, and we need to go back to that. We need to go back to sort of saying to the back four, the back five, and the midfield. Let's not concede a goal today. If it's a 0-0, it's a 0-0, but we don't concede. We get a draw. Yeah. We don't get beat, and that's where you got to start off from. And unfortunately, as it is at the moment, there's no fluidity in the team. There's no rhythm. As I said, the passing and moving it doesn't happen. The running, the closing down, no one presses. You know,
there's
so many. You know, as you said, look at the work rate of Swansea on Saturday compared to our guys.
Yeah.
And they worked bloody hard and walked away with 3 points. Can you honestly say that there was every Arsenal player put in 100% on Saturday? I don't think they did.
No. Just going back to the formation thing. I mean, I know obviously Marlon does a lot of coaching in that, and he said many times before, if your players ain't good enough, or if your players ain't the right players, it don't matter what formation you play. It ain't going to work. It's not going to make that much difference. So, and I think we're in that kind of state at the moment. I don't think it would make much difference. We may, if we play another defensively minded player, then obviously you would think we would be better defensively.
Well, if we had a Fellaini in the team, we'd have someone that's actually got a bit of stature about him and a bit of presence.
It just goes back to the disaster of relying on Diaby for this season, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that was a massive mistake by Wenger. If Diaby, it wouldn't surprise me if he ends up retiring from football.
No,
because he basically, was it something about his muscle mass or something?
It's the fibres keep breaking.
Yeah, his muscles are not strong enough to basically compete in the Premiership.
You could tell that beginning of the season that apart from the captain, he was blatantly going to be the first name on the team sheet, wasn't he?
And against Liverpool, him, Cazorla and Arteta were mustard.
Yeah.
In the middle of the pitch, but I think it's a risk. Everything about Arsenal at the moment is risky. Whether it's to do with our transfers, whether it's to do with the way we play on the pitch, whether it's to do with our off the pitch affairs. Everything's risky at the moment. We could, off the pitch affairs, we're going to get to 2014. The promised land of commercial deals that are coming in left, right, centre.
Well, isn't that money available? That money is available now, isn't it?
Yeah, but there's loads more commercial deals apparently. But that we could end up not even in the Champions League when them commercial deals start coming into play. So I don't know. But one thing I will say is that it is what it is.
Keep positive, Gooners.
It is what it is, and as long as I've got a hole in my arse, I'm going to be a gooner. Do you know what I mean?
I think who's it who said look at it. You can either be positive or you can be negative. If you're negative, you're going to be miserable, aren't you?
Yeah.
So be positive about it. I was in a bad mood after the game, and I tweeted about it, but I ended up chatting to a West Ham fan and a Charlton fan on the train coming home, and I don't know why. It's a bit weird. It actually made me feel better talking about it because they say, we love Arsenal, they're a great club, blah blah blah.
Right.
You always do well, and they were saying, oh no, you'll be all right. You'll get back up there again. So it made me, and I was saying, well, I'm not so sure about that this year. It's a bit different this year, but actually talking to some other football fans made me feel a bit better. So, as bad as it seems, and it does seem pretty bad at the moment. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel.
Things will get better.
No matter what happens, it will get better. It will do.
It will definitely get better. I can't see it. I think personally we'll spank West Brom on Saturday. They're what, 3? Well, they're 3. They're 3, 4 in a row now. They've lost. So they're going through a bit of a slump and a bit of a confidence issue. Everyone was talking them up and talking Steve Clarke up, and that's all sort of starting to backfire on them now a little bit. So, they're there for the taking on Saturday. We've got a point to prove.
They'll be thinking the same thing with us, though.
Yeah, of course. But if we, as Mike says, if we start the game 100 miles an hour, get in their faces, put balls in the box, let's go at them. They're fit enough. The players are fit enough. Let's go at them. Go straight from the off. Let's make it a 6-3 win or something. Let's open up at the back. Well, let's go all guns forward. If we can't defend at the moment, let's outscore the opposition.
Yeah,
that's my take on it.
So this is a problem. We're not defending well at the moment, and we're not really committing going forward. So